Hello everyone, what's going on? My name's Rygos Poppin. Welcome back to our ranking video. So you may recall I did all 5 Troma movies. I have, but that was back then. So today I'm redoing yet another ranking. I'm redoing that video. This time with 8 new movies. So before we begin, what is Troma, you may ask? I'm glad you asked. Troma Entertainment is a company founded by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hers. They're the ones behind every good movie. So I'm happy to do this again. But before we can begin, this is to support the ongoing actors and writers who are on strike because of the AI controversy. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, ranking all 8 Troma movies I have. Starting off with The Last Temptation of Toxic Avenger Free. So this is the first installment of the Toxic Avenger film franchise. This one sees Toxie going through a tough life with no criminals to attack, in which he is forced to work at Apocalypse Incorporated, which is formed by his arch nemesis, Mr. Chairman, or by his actual appearance, the Devil. So yeah, you can tell, unlike other devils, this version's green. So yeah, Toxie was manipulated by the evil Apocalypse Inc. But on a side note, he needed to raise money, so, however, his girlfriend Claire can actually see. Although, it actually got into a funny scene. A lot of funniness happens. Well, okay, when Toxie chose to come out of retirement, he stopped a robbery at the Troma movie store, in which you can see a lot of posters of other Troma movies there. As well, the font is a reference to Indiana Jones. Surprisingly enough, this movie came out the same year as Last Crusade. Overall, the movie's ending, Toxie defeated the Devil after going through 5 levels, which is mostly a video game inspired. Toxie went back from being Melvin Junko and Claire was blind, but it was reversed when God revived that. So Toxie was able to defeat the Devil, it says head to Japan, where a Japanese newsman was spraying a hair product on a bald Japanese man, and landed on. So the movie ends with Toxie and Claire getting married. I see it as not a way to end the movie, but also the perfect way to close out the 1980s. And we all know what happened in the mid-1990s. Horror faded away. But overall, this is actually a very good movie. I've seen this numerous times, so I would give the Toxic Avenger Free, Last Temptation of Toxie, I would give it D. D minus. Okay, moving on. It's The Toxic Avenger Part 2. The movie came out the same year as the third one, so this one pretty much follows right after the original, in which Toxie now challenges a new face of evil, Apocalypse Inc., led by Mr. Chairman, or the Devil, as I would say. Yeah, Mr. Chairman / Devil. So Toxie went on a crazy odyssey. He went from Tromaville to Japan. Now you may be thinking, wait, isn't Troma low budget? Well, yes, but they actually have the budget to go to Japan, which is crazy. So, yeah, big studios with all that budget, eat your hearts out, because this is the true one. So Melvin Junko, Toxie went on a crazy adventure to find his long-lost father, in which he claims to be some sort of, in which Toxie's father is Big Mac Junko, but the man he found is not him. Spoiler alert, this man is actually Big Mac Bunko, a Yakuza leader / sumo wrestler. So Toxie was able to defeat him and learn that art style of that type of wrestling. But unknown to him, Tromaville is in terrible trouble with Toxie's absence. Apocalypse Inc. took over, and this is a blink and you'll miss it, but on the Tromaville movie theater, you could see a sign that says Apocalypse Now, which is a very, very nice nod to the movie directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who also directed 1992's Dracula. But I'm not going to talk about that. This is Troma we're talking about. Overall, when Toxie returned, he pretty much stopped Apocalypse Inc. and saved Tromaville, in which he is reunited with his long-lost father, the actual Big Mac Junko. Also, this movie is significant because this movie marks the debut of Michael Jai White, who would later go on to appear in 2021's Black Friday with Final Destination with Devon Sawa of Final Destination and Bruce Campbell of Evil Dead. Michael Jai White is also known as the first African-American actor to play Spawn in the 1997 film adaptation of the comic book of the same name, proving that black superheroes could actually work, and proving that black superhero movies can rule. And without Spawn, we wouldn't have Blade or Black Panther. Overall, I would give Toxic Avenger Part 2 a D. Yeah, just a D. Okay, moving on. Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. This is the second non-Toxic Avenger movie I have. This movie is directed by Cody Knotts and it stars a lot of wrestlers. One of them is Roddy Piper. If his name sounds familiar, that's because he was also in the John Carpenter 1988 movie They Live, along with Keith David. So yeah, it's crazy that Piper would do another horror movie in this one. I mean, first he was in Carpenter's movie and now a movie distributed by Kaufman? Dang, this man's on a streak. But sad to know he's gone. Rest in peace, Piper. Roddy Piper. You were a legend. So this movie sees a lot of pro wrestlers, not WWE. No. Pro wrestlers. Tackling a lot of zombies. Some of them are big names like Jim Duggan and Shane Douglas. In which, although they have to fight a lot of zombies. So you can kind of think of it like Dawn of the Dead mixed with WWE. So yeah, this is by far the craziest movie I've ever seen. Because what can I say? I'm a big fan of WWE. Let's get ready to rumble. Overall, Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies had a good story. It's like, so yeah, the movie also stars Kurt Angle, who was an Olympic wrestler turned WWE and TNA wrestler. So props to him. So I would give Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies a D+, because believe it or not, Cody Knotts actually liked my comments over on Twitter. Okay, next movie. Terror Firmer. Alright, so this is another Troma movie that has nothing to do with the Toxic Avenger. So the movie is not only directed by Lloyd Kaufman, but it also stars him as a blind director. Dang, he can direct and write. He can direct and act at once. He's definitely the lead when Nell back then. So the movie follows a Steven Spielberg loving person wanting to stop a trauma film from happening. So the movie follows a lot of crazy stuff, like a lot of controversial topics, but we got some crazy cameos from a lot of celebrities. Example, in the ending, we got to see Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Fun fact, they're the creators of South Park, so they got their start in Troma. In which, before they created South Park, they had a career in Troma, and I kind of like this as a bit of a surprise because the movie came out the same year in 1999, same year as South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and yours truly existed. And the movie also gave us our first look into Eli Roth. Roth would later go on to have a career of his own in 2002, finding success with Cabin Fever. If that wasn't enough, he would find more success with Hostel and The Green Inferno. So yeah. Overall, the movie is a perfect way to not only close off the end of Troma movies in the 1990s, but indeed the 20th century as a whole, because we were all entering the 21st century. So I would give Terra Firma D+. We'll actually scratch that. C. Yeah, let's give it a C. Okay, next up, Bloodhook. Alright, another Troma movie distributed by them. So this is a slasher film to come out in 1986. Although back then, slashers were kind of old and stale after 1984. So yeah, probably the worst time for a slasher movie to come out. Knowing that they want to be more funny. And you can always thank Freddy Krueger for that. So Bloodhook follows a fisherman, and no, not the fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer, totally different one. So this one focuses on a different fisherman. But unlike the fisherman you knew from last summer, he carries a hook. This one uses a fishing rod. So, on the cover art, this looks crazy. I mean, a slasher film in the mid-'80s, when I would say this, but the movie is a very good slasher film, despite coming on the worst era, the post-slashers, the post-golden years of slashers. So overall, I enjoy Bloodhook, and not bad. So I would give Bloodhook C+. Okay, moving on. Citizen Toxie, the Toxic Avenger Part 4. This is the fourth installment of the franchise, and the movie's narrator happens to be the legend of Marvel Comics, Stan Lee. I mean, Stan Lee, the Marvel legend himself in a Troma movie? Whoa! So, I mean, you all know who he is. He's the founder of Marvel Comics, and he's known for making his cameos in every Marvel movie. Well, up until his last one in Avengers Endgame. Rest in peace, you legend. So, despite his claim saying that this is the true sequel to the first Toxic Avenger film, this is actually the fourth film. Roman numerals don't lie. So the movie involves Toxic being thrown to an alternate dimension called a Mortville, as explained by James Gunn in his cameo as a Stephen Hawking parody. James Gunn has career started at Troma before he would go on to write for the Scooby-Doo movies, Dawn of the Dead, and making his big entry with Slither, in which he directed, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, I actually enjoy this movie so much. It's actually one of my favorites to come out in one of my favorite eras, the post-Scream trilogy era in 2000. So the movie not only follows Toxie, but also follows his doppelganger, well, evil counterpart called the Noxious Offender, or Noxie for short. So Noxie wanted Sarah, previously known as Claire in the previous two films. Like, what's going on? Did Claire have a name change back to Sarah or something? I don't know. So Toxie needs to go back to his own home and stop his evil counterpart before he does. But the movie has a lot of fight scenes, namely like, well, I forgot to address this in Terraformer, but in that car chase, we got a car crash stunt, which was taken from another Troma movie called Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, who was also in this movie. Now off the bat, Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD is not a horror movie, but it's great. Check it out. I recommend that. So the movie not only has a great car chase scene, but we had some great fight scenes in the hospital scenes, like Toxie fighting off all the enemies in his way, and which I guess this would easily give that stairway fight scene from the first Purge, and by which I mean the fourth film, not the first one, a run for its money. But my favorite part of the movie, they parodied Star Wars, a clash of mobs as lightsabers. I like to find this as a surprise, but this movie came out 1 year, or should I say 1 decade, after The Phantom Menace came out. So, yeah. Overall, Citizen Toxie is a great movie I actually admire. So, this one gets B+. Okay, moving on. Moving on is Class of Nuke Em High. So, Class of Nuke Em High came out in 1986. The same year as the other film, Bloodhook. I mean, it's crazy. I have 2 Troma movies that came out the same year. The movie follows at Tromaville, the same location as in Toxic Avengers, so my mind's like, what's going on? Is Toxic Avenger and Nuke Em High in the same universe? I mean, maybe, since they share the same actor. So the movie follows a high school in Tromaville called Tromaville High, in which it was built next to a nuclear plant. What kind of person built a nuclear plant next to a school? So one of the students became badly mutated. Where have I seen this before? Maybe not the faculty, that is. So it involves a mutated monster. So, yeah. So it involves a lot of nerds turned to heroes, kind of like Toxie. So the movie is called a teen comedy. Yeah, not that case, I would say. So the movie follows as this. A lot of all the action scenes, and that monster is so freaking amazing. I mean, so I enjoy this movie so much. In fact, this may be a surprise to you, but Class of Nuke Em High was actually the movie that influenced director Quentin Tarantino, the man who gave us Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, Death Proof, even becoming a mentor to Eli Roth and being best friends with Robert Rodriguez. Overall, Class of Nuke Em High is a great movie. I really enjoy it. I haven't seen all the sequels yet, but I will get the sequels one day. One day in September. Maybe I'll do like Class of Nuke Em High 2 and 3 in this year in both September and October, and come back to movies 4 and 5 in next year. Overall, I would give Class of Nuke Em High an A. Just an A. Okay, now we finally made it to the last one. Taking the #1 spot is, drum roll please, the Toxic Avenger. Yes, finally, we made it this far. This is by far my all-time favorite. Not only that, but I actually got this on my 24th birthday, along with along with Brightburn and All Hallows Eve. So the movie takes place in Tromaville in 1984. Follows a 90-pound weakling named Melvin Junko, in which he was bullied and humiliated by a lot of bullies. So there were a lot of funny scenes, like a fat woman doing aerobics class while eating chocolate, and the mayor getting a massage while eating a sub sandwich. Now that's what I call an executive workout. Overall, Toxic Avenger has finally got to live up to its name when Melvin Junko crashes out of a window wearing a pink tutu into a truck full of nuclear waste parked in front of the gym. So when Melvin became deformed, he became the Toxic Avenger, better known as Toxie for short. And plus, Toxie wasn't seen as a monster; he was seen as a hero. So Toxie really saved a lot. So Toxie saved 2 kids from getting run over by 2 bullies, and ultimately, we this may be a surprise too, but we got a little cameo from Marisa Tomei, who would later play Aunt May in Spider-Man in the MCU. Overall, I would say the Toxic Avenger is a really great. Sorry, some of the films generally slip. So I would say Toxic Avenger is a really great gem from 1984. Due to its impact and success, indie films were made popular, and Toxie became an icon. With the movie's success, we got 3 sequels, an animated cartoon titled Toxic Crusaders, and recently a remake with Peter Dinklage is on the way. Also starring that movie, we also got Kevin Bacon and Elijah Wood. So I might see the Toxic Avenger remake when it comes out next year, or at least when it's out on DVD or Blu-ray. But don't worry, I will get that, I assure you. Overall, this is a great movie, and I absolutely love it. This movie also started a trend of superhero horror movies, in which we got Unbreakable and Brightburn, so you can always thank Toxic Avenger for that. Overall, I would give the Toxic Avenger A+. Alright, we're finally done. Thank you so much for watching my ranking video on all 8 Troma movies. On all 8 Troma movies I have. If you want me to do another one, I'll do maybe a ranking video on all the full moon movies, like Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, and Evil Bong, or subspecies, let me know, okay? So please do consider subscribing to the channel for more. If you want me to do a ranking video on every full moon movie, like Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, and Evil Bong, let me know, okay? Also, click the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button, leave your comments, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, guys. Peace. Stay poppin' and stay safe. Goodbye. Peace.